Hello, so please let me introduce myself. I'm from the Fantastic. We are developing mobile applications, so it's like some kind of different industry from the other presentations, but I hope you will get something from it also. I started as a mobile application tester 2 years ago in the Fantastic when there were only like 8 people. Now we are 30, I think. And still, I'm the only one tester, so it's hard. Well, how do we test applications in our company? It's like an easy flow. First, I get some introduction to the project, like what is the min SDK version, like the lowest supported operation system version for Android or iOS, and what are the target devices, like if it's for tablets or only phones. I get to know some main features and testing data, like accounts to be able to log in and some, I don't know, voucher codes or something the user could use also. When the project is ready, like there are a few screens which do something, I do full test of the whole content of the app. I'll try to break it in all possible scenarios. I will mention them on the next slide. And after the full test and release, we are doing maintenance. Like when we implement new feature, I'll try to test it also. And when the new operating system comes out or some new device like iPhone X or something, I just need to retest old projects to be sure it's working properly. Here is the list of some things we need to check because it's always broken. Like the devs are testing only on their device, so they do not care, and the market is largely like filled with all of possible mutations of the devices, like the Chinese phones and so on. So we need to check the product on all system versions, like on the lowest supported to the highest supported. We need to check multiple device manufacturers, like Xiaomi is the one which is the probably most broken at all the times. We need to check multiple screen resolutions, and also there are like other things. When your app does some network communication, you have to check the case when the network isn't available. When there is some user input field for text or some files, you need to try to break it also, like insert emojis into the field or insert a huge JPEG or something. There are always things which can go wrong. Also, there are permissions, like when you develop application which can take a profile photo or something, you need to try the case when the user refuses to grant the permission, and the app can crash possibly or something can go wrong. Also, the empty layouts, like when you have application for making reservations in restaurants and you have 0 reservations, there should be some fancy layout for the state when there are no reservations or something. This is the first case when you arrive and there's nothing, but also when you can delete from the list, it should also show the empty layout. If you want to get some details about these things, you can read short, medium text which I wrote. I will give you the presentation later, so you can just click on the link. Well, the tools I use for testing Android are 3, like shell scripts, which I wrote myself. They are using ADB for communication between the computer and the device, and they are super great. I can show you, like it saves a lot of time, because when you just want to take screenshot of the device, you could take it by pressing the buttons and then copy it somehow from the device, but I can only do something like this, and the screenshot appears on my desktop, and I just can use it however I want. there was some issue where I wrote the script and it was about 3 lines of code. But when I had 2 devices connected, it just didn't work because the ADB didn't know which device it should use. But I solved it, so when you call this command, it lets you choose from the devices. So you can use it however you want. I have multiple scripts, like record, which starts recording on the device, and when you kill it using Ctrl+C, it copies the video to the desktop also. You can name the files if you append some string after the call of the command, and there are also next different scripts. Well, it was the first thing. The second is tasting. It's our creation. It's used for automatic testing of the application before release. It can check some crucial scenarios which the user use, like the main features of the app. Here you can see how the test looks like. It's written in Kotlin or Java. I have to be able to get the code of the application, so I need to clone the repository, and then I just set some things up, and I can just write these easy commands. Like when you see the test for login, just writes into login field, into password field, taps on login, checks if the application is in logged in state, and takes a screenshot. I have a big set of these scenarios, and when it's finished, it generates some report. I will show you, but I hope it didn't go away yet. You can run it on multiple devices in parallel, and then it generates this report. You can open the device, and you can see the exact progress, or I don't know, exact way the test gone. Like when it breaks, you can see it's red. What gone wrong, you can see the log and the state of the application in which it failed. This is the case when the application didn't found edit text button, and you can see it's somewhere down. It didn't scroll until the field appeared, so it failed. So I run these tests before each release, so we are sure the main features are working properly. And the last thing is a little bit funny. It's just it comes from Google also. Oh, sorry, there's no connection. I have it open maybe. Yep. It just when you connect the device to the computer and run this script, it locks the application to the screen, so it cannot open any other application, and it runs the monkey, which randomly clicks on the things on the screen, and you can set the seed for it, so you can run the same test again, and it also generates some log when it fails on the desktop also. Well, as I said, I will give you the presentation so you can look on it. It's public on the GitHub as the other things also, so you can use them if you want. That was Android. I also test iOS applications, but it's a little bit harder to do such things I did on Android. So the main tool I use is QuickTime. You can just connect your iOS device to Mac computer, launch QuickTime, and record the video using it. And there is this thing. It's some open source library which lets you take screenshots using the cable and terminal in your computer. But it stopped working on iOS 11, I think, and I didn't have the time to find some fix. So now I just need to use the buttons and send the screenshots, which is really slow. And the release test for each application, as I said, I tried the application on the Min and Max OS version. I test the main scenarios. When I have the automatic tests ready, I just run them. If I don't have them, I have to test manually. And also I'll test the update from the last version, so I'm sure it works. And here's some meme for you. All the things I mentioned, except the LibI mobile device, were made by me and my friends in my job. And it really saved a lot of time, so don't be afraid. Invest in something, just learn to use shell or something. It's like really saving your time. You don't have to do everything manually and repeat again and again the same steps. You can just write 5 lines of code and it really saves the time. So that's all. Do you have any questions? Okay.
Once again, you said you're only a developer in your company. So
No. I'm not only developer. I'm only tester.
Tester, yes.
Yeah.
So I guess you have a lot of work. Does that mean the company waits until you write some small test and then they release the application, or?
We have some applications which we develop like 1 year or 2 years, and we do some iterations and release after some big feature is ready. For these applications, we have written some of the tests, or I did write it, or never mind. And for the small applications like 3 screens or something, I just check the basic functions. So no, they are not waiting. They are waiting only like when we develop. There is task for like new screen or new feature. The developer creates the code, creates the pull request, gets code review and so on. And when it's merged into the other code, into the master branch, I just take the task and check the functionality in the existing code. When all the features are tested like this, I do the main test for the basic functions, which need to work all the time, and then we can release. So they are waiting for me to test before the release, but not like many days or something. I just find time every time. Hope it answers your question. Any other questions? Yep.
So the first test of the feature is when it's merged into master, or do you
Yep.
test it before this?
No,
No.
When it's something which could have some big impact, like, I don't know, something which affects the whole app, I can test it from the separate branch, but mainly I test it on the master branch, because this is not like a server or something. We need to create APK or IPA, I think, and release it for the public. So I can test it when it's ready. I don't need to test it on separate branch.
That answers my question, thanks.
Well, if that's all, thank you for your attention. You can ask me whatever you want after at the beers.